share about this new content deal that Netflix just made. It's with the Weinstein Company. You know who they are? The Weinstein Company.
They make quite a few films.
They do.
Worthy of watching.
They surely do. This is actually an interesting deal.
They're not a distributor in and of themselves, as I have read, but they do produce content, and apparently Netflix will be at least one of their many distributors.
Well, they have, according to this article, and I'm going to list a few of the movies, and we could probably look this up too now that we're here. But there's a diverse slate of titles that will be exclusive to Netflix streaming. Exclusive. Did you catch that?
I did.
These titles will hit the service within a year of its theatrical release, and will include foreign language films, documentaries, and other hits from the Weinstein Company. 2012, I'm going to give you an example. 2012 Academy Award nominee The Artist will hit Netflix prior to pay TV on the traditional premium cable. Watch out. That would mean, let's assume,
Netflix is going to get it before HBO.
Before HBO. That's what I meant to say. Before HBO or Showtime or any of these other paid premium channels, Netflix will get the movies first. Now, I see you've pulled up a list here.
This would be
these are some Weinstein films from Wikipedia.
Yep, they were.
Let's look through a few of these things to kind of give an idea. So, is there like a latest version, like the latest films that have just released?
Bob and Harvey Weinstein, 2005. After the brothers left Disney, owned Miramax Films. When they left in 2005, they formed a company which they co-founded Miramax in 1979, and they retained ownership of a subdivision therein.
So there's a long list here. As a matter of fact, we're looking right now, like I said, at Wikipedia. There's a long list of movies.
Some of them good. Some of them.
So what are some of these that we see here? I see Rambo. This is the 2008 version of Rambo. That was really gruesome, but it's Rambo. Inglourious Bastard. That was a good movie with Brad Pitt. And,
Apollo 18 from last year. Scream 4.
I heard Apollo 18 wasn't that good.
Movies.
Let's see what else we got here.
Let's see.
Lassie, I don't clearly.
Clerks 2, which I really, really liked.
Did you like the first one?
I did. I like Kevin Smith, just generally speaking. He's got a quirky kind of a cynical voice that's mask a very, very romantic nature, which I just like. Sicko, Michael Moore film.
Halloween 2. These are the new version of Halloweens. Piranha. Okay, Piranha 3D.
Capitalism: A Love Story, another more recent Michael Moore film. That was from 2009.
Okay, there's a couple. The Iron Lady, that's a new one.
Yeah, I think more importantly,
it's good movies here.
Yeah, Iron Lady, that's this year, and The Artist, that's this year. I think more importantly than the list.
My Week with Marilyn, that's a new one.
Yep. More importantly than this list of films here is the idea that they have begun, as they typically do, somewhat changed the paradigm, because formerly companies like MGM and Dimension, which was a sub division of Miramax, the Weinstein brothers formed, were the distribution points for these films. Now, as you just read earlier in the story, looks like Netflix is going to be the first call point of independent, of distribution after the theater release.
That's right.
Assuming they will be released in theaters. That's
right. Well, these one and there's a couple other ones here that they have listed here that it specifically are coming as soon the year after they come out or within the first year. It looks like it says the French language World War II drama Sarah's Key, The Untouchables,
yes,
Bully.
This is
I guess
actually
Coriolanus will hit Netflix streaming in the future as well.
And this is some upcoming films also on Wikipedia.
Piranha 3D.
See some of the stuff that's
Butter,
distributed
Halloween
3D. Distributed by Dimensions. I guess that's automatically means that's not going to be part of their distribution.
Escape from the Planet Earth.
Scary Movie 5.
Okay.
To be
Sin
determined.
City 2.
Sin City 2.
Yeah,
that
I
might
like
be good.
that one.
That might be good.
Yeah. Bad Santa 2, Untouchable.
Scream 5. They did Scream 4 already, and Short Circuit. They're remaking.
They're going to redo Short Circuit.
Good luck.
Holy
with that.
smokes!
Good luck with that.
Well, at least see, for me, let me tell you what this tells me. What this tells me is, and I want to welcome the guests who are walking in right now. Hello, hello. We also got Neil. Nab 1965 is in the room. How goes it?
Bad Santa 2.
We're talking about a new deal that Netflix just made with the Weinstein Company. They are going to provide an exclusive deal to Netflix that says within the year after a movie leaves the theater, you'll be able to watch it even before they get it on HBO or on Showtime or any of these other premium paid TV stations. That is huge, Derek. You gotta admit that's huge.
I think this deal in and of itself is not so huge as is the idea that they have decided to leverage Netflix as an exclusive distributor. The concept is huge. The idea that there are 9 or 10 films worth watching that and at a number to be determined, only available on Netflix for a time period as yet to be determined.
Well,
isn't
not so that big. Part of the thing with HBO? I mean, part of the pull is that you're going to be able to watch some of these new movies on HBO.
That's true, but the thing about HBO distribution is
they got their own shows. Clearly, I mean, you know,
that's
a big piece.
For me, their originally their original content is among the best content on television, bar none, far and away, way. No one I can think of even comes close. But that's not the point that I was trying to make. I think the thing about these motion picture releases after they come out of the theater, they typically go to DVD first. And I'm wondering if the Weinstein Company is going to have the typical DVD release before it goes to Netflix, or it goes to Netflix immediately after.
Well, how do you think this plays out on HBO? Because again, if we look at this thing from the standard of how does it go to DVD before it goes to HBO?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I would assume,
typically speaking,
I would assume then that wouldn't change the model.
That's
my assumption. That may not be true. But
that's what I'm saying. If that were not true, that would be a game changer.
Well, I think it's a game changer for me. In my mind, I think it's a game changer because you have to ask yourself, why would a company go to Netflix and say, you know what, I'm going to allow you to get this before HBO or before Showtime?
It could very well. Who went to whom is still...
Okay, however it happens, whether they went to them first or Netflix came and says, look, we'll pay you lump sums of money for some of your content before HBO. But
maybe.
Let's assume that, and I don't know how respected the Weinstein Company is in relationship to some of the other larger or other companies.
2005 in the
how influential do you think they are in relation to other companies like them? To say, hey, well, the Weinstein Company did it, maybe we should do it.
That's a really good question. I got to think maybe not as influential as Pixar, but certainly looking at the list of films, certainly much more influential than anybody that ended up at, say, the Cannes Film Festival this year. Those cats are looking for a break. They're looking for somebody like the Weinstein Company to pick them up and pick with their production and distribution costs.
Gotcha. Well, I don't know. I just think this is interesting, and I think that as we talk about Netflix and we talk about the future of Netflix, and clearly it is a game of content.
At this point,
you got to have the stuff that people want to watch.
That's why that is why I just am not confident in Netflix's ability to survive. They simply don't have the kind of liquid capital on hand that they're going to need to buy the content, because the rules of content and the purchase thereof have changed since they became the dominant online streaming force. I think they were just short sighted. I think they're going to lose it ultimately.
But there's something to be said about numbers, right? If we can explore this just a moment longer, let's explore the idea that Netflix has the most customers, viewers in this industry, right? And to say that, and then you look at a company that says, I want my stuff to be watched, doesn't it kind of just make sense to say
yes,
this makes sense for them?
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
There's another thought, though. There's another thought to this. Let's assume, I think we're under the assumption that Netflix is paying money up front to say, hey, we're going to pay you this lump sum up front, and then we'll run it. Let's assume that they do it over a period of time.
That is the
it's like buying a car or buying a house.
I mean, that's the only That's the only saving grace. They're not going to be able to deal with the big dogs like that because they have lots of other options, i.e. HBO, and now with HBO Go and Hulu. Those guys are. But again, the Weinstein Company, they're kind of young, they're kind of a upstart. They've got 3 or 4 kind of sort of major blockbuster, burgeoning on blockbuster releases on their docket, and a couple of more on the way. I think the Weinstein Company is a perfect candidate for this deal, and it does change the paradigm. It does change how the game is played, but somebody just a little bigger than Weinstein Company, i.e. a Pixar, could just as easily become their own Netflix. Netflix is, once again...
But Netflix, is on every single device right now. That is something you can't argue to say they're on every gaming system. They're on many, if not most, of the smartphones. They're not only in the U.S., they're in Canada, they're in Latin America. They're now going over into Europe.
I don't think
they're in a really good place right now.
I don't think I don't think the idea that they're in Canada or in Latin America and Europe only matters in terms of their ability to mail DVDs. I think the real money is moving away, and they already know this clearly because of their past behavior and their past fiascos.
No,
past
I'm
disasters.
talking about they are streaming in these places. See,
The idea of putting a stream in another country is technically trivial issue. After all, what they are doing is they have built some web development on top of AWS, Amazon Web Services, which is to say, Pixar, a company with a lot of liquid capital, instead of going and looking for a deal with another streaming company, can, with little or no effort, become their own streaming company and simply say, if you want to see a Pixar film after it gets out of the theaters,
I cannot believe you keep saying that.
I just
they don't have a deal with Amazon.
They don't need. You don't need a deal. All you need to do is
go into my server and just borrow my content.
No, you can't.
Just because it's on your server.
But Amazon Web Services is a service that they can buy. I'm saying they go and just like you would go and host your site on a site monster. They could do the same thing. Just lob off a chunk of money, which they have a big pile of. Give about 90% of it to Amazon for the infrastructure. That is essentially what AWS is. It is an infrastructure.
Isn't that what HBO Go does? And whether they're on Amazon's platform or not doesn't matter. My point is that that's pretty much what you're saying.
Yes. They can become
HBO
their own online web. Yes, they exactly. Nothing is stopping them except for money.
Okay.
And some companies there are content creators way bigger than the Weinstein Company that can do that, and it wouldn't surprise me if they're already doing it and not telling nobody right now. You lob off, you get a big pile of money, lob off 75-90% of it, give it to Netflix. Look, give me this pipe and all this server space and all that stuff, so I don't have to do none of that. And then the other 25 to 10%, hire me some hotshot web developers, because once you get to a browser, maybe 2, Android and iPhone, you have fulfilled the 80-20 rule. The gaming platforms can come later, which is exactly how Netflix did it.
Well, I'm not gonna kill this topic much further, and I'm gonna probably just move on. But I will say I think that we've seen companies like Blockbuster attempt to do the very same thing that you're talking about. No, I'm talking about right now. They tried with the backing of another company to do pretty much the same thing that you're talking about, and they are not able to do it.
Because for one thing,
there's a big investment in this infrastructure.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, and it's only a big investment if you don't already own the content. The content is the biggest investment.
No, I would say the biggest investment is going to be the infrastructure and the payment system behind that to get those customers.
I think all of that is done behind AWS. I think that's all. I don't think any of these. I don't think Pixar, if they wanted to become if they wanted to do Pixar Go like HBO Go does. I'm going to
find somebody from a company and ask them that very question.
That's a great idea.
Let's find somebody. If you can find me somebody that I can ask that question to, I'd like to know. Why don't you just go to Amazon Web Services and do it yourself?
You know, I'm going
see what they say.
I'm taking a little.
Let's find somebody.
I'm taking a vacation to Cali in a couple of weeks, so yeah. I'll find somebody when I'm there.
Go to the street and let's talk.